Alrighty, so getting into the main reviews of episode 5 here. And first up here, we have an album by a cat named Sadistik. Album's called Alters. Yeah, brand new record from 2017. Sadistik is one cat that I've checked out, a little bit throughout the years and stuff. I definitely peeped out his EP that he did with No from the Cunning Linguist last year. Did you guys happen to check this one out?
Oh, yeah.
Phantom Limbs. I actually really enjoyed that. I thought that was good, man. But yeah, Noah's production, definitely a lot different than what we're hearing on this record. In fact, I think the production on this album is like completely different than most of his stuff that I've heard anyways. So this one kind of took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it to sound, kind of like the way it did. But I mean, definitely a different approach. I mean, this album being a concept record too, I don't know, maybe that was part of it, I'm not sure, or if he's just kind of leaning this way with the production. But yeah, man, what are your guys' thoughts on this album?
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I'll just say straight up, I didn't really care for this record. I like Sadistik. Actually, you know what, I can't even say that because I haven't heard all his records yet. But the ones that I do like from him are Flowers for My Father, I think it's called, right?
Yep.
Flowers for My Father record. And then the Balancing Act I thought was pretty good too. The EP that he did with No, I thought was pretty decent. I don't think I've heard the Sallow Sessions EP, so I can't say that. I don't think I even know that was a thing. So
it's kind of similar to this album, like in terms of production.
Yeah, I've only ever heard the Balancing Act and Flowers for My Father, and of course the Phantom Limbs stuff from Sadistik. So I don't know. I mean, definitely a lot different production wise.
Yeah. I usually like Sadistik as a rapper. Like, I don't mind his flow. I like, his cadence, his wordplay is pretty good usually. On this, the thing I didn't care for the most was the production. It really kind of, it didn't do it for me. Like the kind of trap style beats, or what, I don't even know how to describe them. I guess they're kind of trap style, right? That's what I.
Some of them are, yeah. I knew you guys wouldn't like this production though, right off the top. Like, they aren't gonna like this shit. But
I can't decide if he's like is he being serious? Is he being funny? Is he being ironic? Does he think he's out? Is he good? Is he like rhyming over his production? Because I think he sounds terrible over his production personally.
Really?
I think he's being dead serious on this, given the fact that it's a concept record. And I have to say, man, I love the concept of the album, but I don't like the way it came about.
I think he sounds great over these beats. Like in terms of the subject matter and the way he's delivering it, I think these beats are perfect for it.
I didn't care for these beats at all. I like his rapping. So basically, like first track with Voodoo Dolly, it basically kind of sets a tone for the album, right? In my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
It's basically like the start of the journey, in this kind of like post-apocalyptic setting type deal that he has going on here. And it does make sense. It does make sense for what it is.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. I get it. Like, this is an album that it'll take you like a few probably listens to get into, right? Like, I definitely still didn't catch everything, every track. I have to go back to like check out every track, which I probably won't because, which I probably won't because I really didn't care for the production. I don't want to put myself through that again. But Sadistik by himself, I liked his rapping. God Complex was one of my favorite tracks for sure. Just because I really like his flow on that.
But that's the thing that kind of strikes me right away too. Some of the songs I didn't mind. Like, I like the concept and I like the lyrics and stuff. I thought the approach with some of the flows was a little interesting, but it was a lot. Mostly the problems for myself was the up and down style beats, like the triple hi-hats and stuff. I'm not a big fan of, but it's the approach and it's the arrangement in the beats. Mostly,
I don't think it wasn't sequenced very well, right?
The arrangement, the arrangement to me, I'm not a big fan of like kind of build up beats and then slow down, and then and then it's another build up and it's a slow down. And I thought a lot of the hooks on this album were really, really bad. Like
there's a lot of like unconventional arrangement styles in the songs. Like some songs will just have a verse and then a chorus. Like they aren't conventional song patterns at all. It's
no, for sure. Which is totally fine. But I'm just like, some of the songs, with that kind of build up and then real slow down and then you do a hook and things like that. But I thought the hooks were like the worst part about the record. I didn't think that they.
I completely agree with you on the hooks. That was what killed it for me on a lot of the tracks were the hooks. Like they were so corny a lot of the time and just like cringeworthy. Even.
Well, how many tracks, Tom? Like how many tracks? Because you didn't listen to the whole album. So how many of these tracks are you not liking?
What do you mean? I listened to the whole album.
I thought you just said you didn't.
No, I didn't say that. I said that I wouldn't go back to listen to the album again.
Okay.
Oh, for like multiple. He just said
for multiple repeat listens. No, I definitely listened to the album a couple times. Unfortunately,
I listened to this album actually a few different ways. Like I listened to it just sitting here in the studio. I listened to it with headphones. I listened to it by reading the lyrics, which was probably my favorite way to listen to the record because I found a lot of the Sadistik's flows were. It was almost hard to hear what he was saying a little bit. Given the content too, because it's not your very conventional type content, right? So he's saying a lot of things that you kind of need to read and follow along with, and that actually kind of where I figured that I was trying to work out the concept of the record, which is really cool actually. It's structured, from a start of the journey to the end of the journey where he sees the light in the tunnel and stuff, and I think it's really really cool. I just found like I wish it hadn't been done with. If you just kind of kept out the choruses and stuff, I think that would have been the best thing for the arrangement in the song, to not really have a lot of choruses and stuff, because I felt the choruses took me right out of the song so many times, even though there was a couple that were okay, I guess, but it's just that arrangement, man. I'm just not a big fan of that. But
I like the first half definitely a lot more than the second, or not even half. Like the first the couple tracks I enjoyed, I liked a lot, and then a lot. Speaking, talking about his flow. And then, the second half, I really didn't care for a lot of the tracks in the second half. Like, everywhere from Salem Witches to the end, I didn't really care for any of those tracks. The production, I didn't really care for POS. I didn't really care for Christoph Crane.
No, I didn't like their features either. I mean, especially POS, man.
POS.
Oh, yeah. POS's verse did not sound good at all.
POS's verse is horrible, man. When you read along, he doesn't even rhyme half the verse.
Yeah.
Like, nothing even rhymes, but it doesn't even makes. I don't know what the fuck where that verse was even coming. It doesn't really fit in at all.
I was like, POS is so much better than this. God Complex, I enjoyed. Free Spirits was okay for his flow. Roaches was an interesting concept, but it was cool. I didn't mind it. Honeycomb, I thought was pretty cool.
Roaches and Honeycomb are kind of go hand in hand.
They do, yeah. I like the beat on Honeycomb more. That's one beat I didn't mind for some reason.
It was a more laid back, sparse type.
It was definitely more back. It wasn't. Cotard Syndrome, I thought was really interesting. The whole concept of just that track and him kind of if you guys know Cotard Syndrome, I guess was like a thing where. And it's not really a disease, it's a syndrome, I guess, where you think you're dead or you think you're dying, your body's decaying. Kind of really, really interesting.
It's like a rare mental illness where the people they literally believe they have delusional beliefs that they're actually dead and that they don't even exist and things like that.
Yeah.
Basically think that you're like a zombie or whatever. But I like that, talking about kind of reflecting on the passing of his father and idea. I enjoyed that. And then from there,
well, it's cool too because within the story though too, because the beginning of the album, the story kind of sets itself up, and he goes to Roaches and Honeycomb, where it's he's fighting, he's struggling, with certain things. There are a lot of metaphors in the songs, but he's struggling in this kind of wasteland, to get through it and stuff. And then
wasteland,
he's almost he's kind of given up, by Cotard Syndrome. It almost man, he's been through so much and shit like that, he's almost struggling to live. And of course he's reflecting on certain things too and stuff, but it's all part of it, right? You're in this wasteland and everything is going so shitty, and it's just fuck. It's almost like a metaphor for wanting to be dead in a sense too, even joining that part of the world. So instead of having to deal with all this other bullshit that's going on around you. So
Yeah. So kind of from there is where it kind of went downhill for me. Like I said, I didn't really enjoy any of the rest of the album. And I was kind of confused by it too. So Salem Witches and Sacrifice, both those tracks, I kind of understood them. I guess they're kind of both like taking shots at religion, right? That's kind of what I got from it.
I think the whole album is basically.
In a sense, these tracks fit into the album because at Cohort Syndrome, like I said, he's dealing with, you know, a lot of things, and he's kind of given up and stuff. And at this point in Salem Witches and Sacrifice, he's kind of like, fuck everything, fuck the world, fuck exactly. There can't be gods and shit, because if I'm living in this state of the state of reality and I'm fighting to live and all this shit's bullshit, this can't be life. There can't be religion stuff. So it's kind of his big middle finger, you know, in a sense, right? Yeah. But he's got cool lines like in Salem Witches, man. He's like, he drops the line, I'm necromancer, high as fuck, watching necromantic. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna love that.
I love that fucking lyric. I was like, oh, that's. And then I said to Jay, I was like, man, Salem Witches is awesome. The chorus is pretty bad in that song, but I actually kind of like the beat and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool.
And he has, as well, in the same song there, he had Rosemary's Baby and the Blackest of Bassinets.
That's right.
Salisbury deep in the casket, I asked for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit more up-tempo, too, and stuff like that. It was kind of like, I like the beat in Free Spirits also. It was, you know, I thought it would have worked better as an instrumental, though. It just felt like an instrumental track to me. You know, sometimes when you hear a beat and you're like, man, that would be really good as an instrumental. That one,
yeah, it's a great. Yeah, I think it is a great instrumental. I thought he sounded great on it, though. I thought it was perfect for him.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I don't know. My point was just though that like basically it's a lot more blatant on those two tracks where we're talking about religion, right? Especially on Sacrifices, sacrifice your gods before your gods sacrifice you. Mm-hmm. You know, that's you know, I don't think it needs to be explained too much, but. Yeah,
if you're someone that religion dictates how you live your life, then you're probably going to have some objections once you listen to this album.
I mean, that's kind of the point, though, right? In the story where he, he once was a believer and now he's like, fuck this. You know, it's basically him saying that, right? Yeah. So I think that's kind of cool, actually, because when you get driven into the ground enough, and you have enough bad shit happen around you, what is your first idea? I mean, if you have any type of religious beliefs and stuff, you're like, fuck that shit can't be real. So I mean I understand that completely, and it is a big call out too. Like he's just like bluntly saying like this is bullshit, and I think that's pretty cool. But it's viable within the story though, because it makes sense, because you need to have that start, that fight, that kind of almost giving up, but I'm not going to give up type thing. And the story moves along actually quite interestingly, from there.
Yeah, so. like in God Complex is the hook is like, I got a God up here, I got a God up here, what you got up here. Exactly. So it's like in his head, right? The God's in his head. So
yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite tracks, I would say. So that's kind of what I thought of it. I mean, cool. Like I'm pretty much what moods on this. I think I like the concept was cool. I liked Sadistik on some of the tracks. I liked his flow, but overall, the beats and the choruses ruined it for me. Especially, I know you said you liked Salem Witches. I did not like Salem Witches at all. Especially the chorus and the just least favorite track. I couldn't even go back and listen to it again. It was like so. Yeah, it's so cringy. So cringy.
The chorus is so bad in that track. I really didn't like it either. But no, it's actually got some really interesting lyrics in that too, though. I thought the lyrics actually were quite cool throughout that track.
I feel like Sadistik, just Sadistik by himself, not even talking about the beats, definitely progressed as he I feel like lyrically, he's maybe some of the best lyrics he's ever had were on this album. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I think lyrically he's amazing. Like all of his albums always have been. Like everything I've heard from him is, if you sit down and read it and look at it. But I find, man, the lyrics on this are top notch.
I think he got better as he went on throughout his career.
Yeah, definitely.
Me personally, though,
I think it's really noticeable in this record too. Being a concept record and having to put a whole story together that actually seems very cohesive is pretty interesting. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. I think, like I said, I'm necromancer, high as fuck, watching necromantic, cut the lights for the devil's magic, blood of Christ, let's get romantic. That's fucking awesome, man.
It is.
Like that, so.
There's so many good lines on this album, man. It's like it's crazy, like the level he's at writing wise. And I knew you guys weren't going to like it just based on the beats, but I just find as a whole project it works really well together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's the thing though, man. If I'm going to throw on a record like this, man, I'm not going to sit down and follow the story every single time. I mean, unless I cared for the beats enough. It's not really my style, man. I just kind of realized, man, I'm just not a fan of triple hi-hats and shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not a fan of that type of style. And it's more or less, like I said, the arrangement. It's the up and down and the tempos and stuff. I find that they're so slow for me. And it's the melodicness. You know, I like a good kind of, you know, just kind of steady BPM and stuff where things aren't changing all the time. I'm not a big change type person. But overall, like the concept enough is enough for me to still recommend this record, though. I mean, it's really good. I mean, if you're into someone, or if you're into records and you like to listen and follow along and stuff, this is definitely one that I would sit down with headphones and, you know, kind of read the lyrics as they're going along. It's pretty cool. It's like it's a journey. It's a journey, and it's interesting.
Very dark. Yeah, it's very dark though, very like gloomy, and like you said, kind of like a post. I've even said it like a nuclear winter kind of wasteland.
He's the nuclear winter.
That's even on Roaches, right? So.
Yeah, post-apocalyptic.
If that's not the kind of album that you're into, you're probably not going to like this. But if you're into that kind of darker kind of, you know, albums that we're talking about, and obviously talking about religion, so if that's like a turnoff for you, then you're not going to enjoy this. But
this is a great example of a record that not everyone's going to like. It's a very specific taste based on, you know, the dark concept and also the beats. You know, I mean, that's going to be a big seller for some people too. I mean, a lot of people love this stuff. Some people don't. I'm right in the middle with this one because I do like a lot of the things that he's saying. I like the concept, but it's just hard for me, man. It's just like those busy kind of slow down melodic beats and shit. I'm just like, I don't know whether to like drop some downers and listen to this shit, or like, I don't know what I want to do with it. It's just like, it's crazy.
Well, that's the thing. Like for me, like it's very atmospheric type beats. Like you're saying, like I don't need a drug to enjoy them. Like it puts you in it put me in another world. Like this isn't an album that I would typically like this type of dark sound, but I don't know. I thought this whole thing worked. I thought Sadistik executed the whole thing perfectly with the lyrics he had on here, and the arrangements of the music were different. And I don't know. I enjoyed the whole album.
So it's something that you go back and listen to, like, you know, a year down the road.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I listened to this one about 4 or 5 times, and you know, the more I listened to it, the more I did enjoy it. But I still, it's the choruses though, man. I'm just like, to me, it was just, oof. I didn't like them, man. I wish they had to just kind of left them out a little bit. I don't think some of the songs even.
What about the
singing?
Like, what about the singing? Like, are you considering those like the ones that are just like the verse and then the singing chorus? Or did you enjoy that at all? Or no? That
was a little bit better for me. You know, it was. Okay. I think the chorus in God Complex, or the thing when he's just like, yeah, and when he just kept repeating, yeah, I was like right away. I was like, oh my god, like I can't. I don't know, man. There's certain times where choruses just take me out of shit, man. Big time. I'm just like,
oh yeah. Well, that's the way I felt about Salem Witches. Like when I first listened to this album, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like this is ridiculous. But I don't know. The more I listened to it, it's like it grew on me.
I think it was. I caught the lyrics just a little bit sooner before I heard like the rest of it. You know, it was weird because like, you know how you listen to things, you figure out things before other things, and I don't know, I think that's why I kind of dug that a little bit. But I really like, though, you know, you get down to Molecules, which POS's verse I thought was junk, but Kaleidoscope was cool because it's basically him, you know, getting through this whole journey, and he literally talks about seeing the light at the end, and like he kind of made it through, and everything's kind of better. It's kind of like that bright spot. It's that white light spot in the record where it's kind of happy feel and stuff, and then you get to Silhouettes, and it's kind of like, where's this going? You know, it's kind of like leaves you like a little bit of a cliffhanger a little bit. But it's kind of cool though, man, because like, you know, he even mentions in Kaleidoscope, you know, I'm Baron Blood, Lone Wolf, and Cub. Like Baron Blood, I love that film. It's a great Mario Bava film. Lone Wolf and Cub is awesome too. Like the whole franchise. So like he's like referencing things that like I'm into too, which is really damn cool. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like he's super into horror. Like yeah, exactly. So I knew you would really enjoy hearing all these different film references in there as well.
Yeah, that's like perfect for moods, right? If it's like someone that's not into horror movies, we're not going to get all these references. Like I obviously didn't get all of them, but a few of them I got. Like Necromantic, I knew, but yeah, like this one here with I had no idea about these movies. I'm probably gonna go check it out now if it's not like some crazy out of print. A lot of them are.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting listen. I mean, my final thoughts on it is that I would definitely give it a shot. You know, who knows? You might be into the beats more than I was, or you might like it overall like Jay did, or just hate it like Tom did in general. So, I don't know.
I liked a couple tracks. I didn't hate it completely. There's a couple of tracks I enjoyed, but overall, yeah, not for me. Like the first half, to be fair, I liked. So
I think this is one of those albums too that it's really hard to kind of pull songs individually out of it.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those records where you almost need to listen to Voodoo Dali right through Silhouettes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I didn't like it as much after the first couple of listens, but I had to listen to it quite a few times before I just wanted to sit and listen to the whole thing front to back. So
yeah, and I think that's the way it needs to be appreciated too, because oddly enough, I was listening to I have a 2017 playlist on my iPod, and I was listening to it on random, and a couple songs came on, and all of a sudden a song from this record came on, and I tell you how jarring it is to hear a song like that. When you're listening to this playlist, it's like, whoa, holy shit. Like, you know what it is right away, but it almost seems like everything on this album is just out of context and everything else. It's like,
exactly. That's what I'm saying is like, you do have to sit down and listen to the whole thing more than once or twice to get it, I think.
But that's also a selling point to the record too. It's so interesting, on that level that it needs to be just on its own level. It just needs to be kind of listened to it by itself. You just can't really throw fucking Honeycomb on a random mixtape that you're making. It would just sound bizarre.
No, that definitely wouldn't work.
So, I mean, that's kind of the uniqueness of this record. And, I mean, it
and
depends
with this
on
direction he's going in. I mean, like from Ultraviolet and Sallow Sessions, like he's kind of going more in this direction beat wise, but this is definitely the farthest he's gone. And it fits like the dark theme, I thought, these style beats. So I don't know if he's going to come back and do more conventional style beats, maybe something with but
I completely get that. And I in my opinion, the style of beats and stuff are fitting to this. It's just, I don't really care for that style of beat though.
Yeah,
but I understand where he was coming from.
Past it.
Having the dark beats and with the dark content and stuff like that totally makes sense, 100%. Like I wouldn't expect, to have this fucking evidence production over here that would make absolutely no fucking sense, right?
Yeah,
it would sound off-putting. But I mean, I could see people liking this one. I think this is a great example of us three who have similar tastes but different, that are all kind of indifferent on this. And I kind of figured that's pretty much how this was going to go, but. Yeah, not bad. Jay, what do you rate this record?
Rating, I was going to go with 7.5.
Cool. Tom?
Hard one to rate for me. I still don't. I'd probably go right in the middle. Like a 5, probably. I'll give it a 5.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm at about a 5.5. I think that the, like I said, the content alone is pretty awesome. And Sadistik's really, really good. Like as a writer, and so he's very creative and stuff. So you got to give him something on that, man. A lot of people kind of review and rate records and stuff. It's more, just beats and kind of leave out the content a little bit too. But I mean, this is a thought out project. You have to give him props for that. This is something that you don't just, you're not just recording random tracks and making a record out of it. This is a thought out album. I mean, it's basically a movie. Is essentially what it is.
I mean, Sadistik is on. The writing, he's on another level than most anybody right now, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, but yeah, that's Sadistik. Probably.
All right, what's the top 3 tracks for you guys?
Oh yeah, top 3 tracks here. I went with Honeycomb, Salem Witches, and Kaleidoscope.
Cool.
So those are my 3.
Did you have 3, Tom?
Yeah, I could probably pick 3. I would probably go with God Complex, Free Spirits, and Honeycomb. If I had to pick 3.
I went with Free Spirits, Roaches, and Honeycomb.
Oh, Honeycomb.
Yeah, that seems to be a favorite.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool beat on there. Different. It was different, definitely.
It was different. Yeah, I liked that it was different, so I like that about it.
I actually probably would have picked Free Spirits too if I had thought this through a little bit better, to be honest. But yeah, no, Free Spirits, like I said, I thought the instrument, the beat was actually really good on that. I thought it was pretty
I think that's my favorite track on the whole album.
That's my favorite probably beat on the whole album. But.
Like I literally have
it almost sounded like something that would be on an older Sadistik album. Like that beat would have fit on Flowers for My Father, no problem.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.